So here we are, Channel 29, and we have Gabrielle with us. Gabrielle, you're a radio producer.
Yes, I am.
Do you also produce jazz outside the radio? Do you produce bands outside of the radio or just in the radio?
For the radio for the most part, but
Yeah.
I have dabbled a little bit in a production outside the walls of the station.
Okay, so in 20 years, you must know a lot of bands.
I would think.
Yeah?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So when you say you're a producer, do you play their record or you invite them in the studio?
Some of both.
Both?
Both. Mostly recorded music, but there's been live and there's been interviews.
Wow.
Yes.
And KPFA reaches where?
We're in Berkeley, in the Republic of Berkeley, I like to call it. It's
Okay,
like its
okay.
own
Oh,
country.
that's where you went to school?
I was born in Berkeley. I went to school in San Francisco and in Paris.
Wow.
Yeah, law school.
Law school.
Mm.
How long you stayed in Paris?
I went twice, so just for a semester
Yeah,
at a time.
yeah.
Yes.
And was that to perfect what you learned in school here, or was like an extracurricular activity for you?
A bit of both. But the to perfect everything,
Yeah.
I feel like the graduate school did all that. It glued everything together,
Okay.
and Paris was the culmination of all of that. It's not over, right? But the formal part is. But I feel like going to Paris and being able to study law is just the creme de la creme.
Oh, so were you able to see Notre Dame before it get burned last week?
I went there twice.
But you didn't get a chance to visit.
I had not lately.
Okay, okay. Hopefully it will be rebuilt in 5 years and then you'll go. No, I
Okay.
mean, you heard about the news, right?
Of course.
Yeah. So you became a lawyer?
I'm a lawyer and I teach and
Where?
I
Where do
do
you
radio
teach?
at Palo Alto Unified School District.
You commute?
I commute. I'm one of what they call mega commuters now.
All the way from the
Yes,
East Bay.
yes, because when you grow up in one town and it's small,
Yeah.
even though Berkeley is like its own country, it's so international, yet, you got to leave at some point. So I'm not leaving, but I feel like every day being in Palo Alto, I'm in a different world. In
Wow.
Silicon Valley, yes.
Yeah, because Palo Alto is professionals and Berkeley is 32,000 students. It's two different worlds.
You're right. There's no
One is,
Silicon Valley in Berkeley.
yeah,
It's creeping up this way,
yeah,
but it stops pretty much at Emeryville.
yeah, yeah. It's a student town in Berkeley. I mean, a lot of students. But anyway, so you made it to graduate as a lawyer?
Yes, I'm a lawyer, and I practice landlord-tenant law
Oh,
for the
when?
tenants' rights
After you graduated?
after I graduated for like 10 years.
And now you retired?
I just want to say I've shifted my focus. Nobody can mess with me or my friends.
Okay. That's the good news, right?
Yeah, I can research the law and I have friends and I can take care of myself.
Wow.
But there's so much in the law, the different areas that one could be interested in. And so I've never been interested in one thing. And that's why jazz is like my home.
Okay, now you like to focus on jazz.
Yes, I've been there all along. My father's from New Orleans.
Okay.
And so there was jazz and blues growing up.
Yeah.
And,
So
but
it's
I
in your
feel
genes a little bit.
exactly, it's in my DNA.
Yeah.
And so the feeling is that, why do people have to pick a raison d'etre? Like I have commitment issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but KPFA is like a hobby for you? Or is it more than a hobby for you?
It's really a life. It's really a life. It's like something that their mission agrees with me and my
Okay.
soul.
Okay.
Getting people on the air that you wouldn't normally see on mainstream media, that kind of thing. And it's listener sponsored. It's the first in the world. KQED, which is what, around the corner?
Yeah, across street.
Okay, they model their format after KPFA.
Oh, it's sponsored by the listeners.
Exactly. So I've been in
Well, we
different roles
sponsored
there.
also by the public here.
That is a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So the people who have cable pay for us to have the station. Comcast. You have Comcast in Berkeley?
We do.
Okay, so you're sponsored by the same company in Berkeley. I
Okay.
mean, they also have a station in Berkeley.
Yeah, this is goodwill for the corporation.
No,
Corporations.
no, it's required by law to
Oh,
give
yeah.
free speech to the residents.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
good,
yeah.
It's good.
People think it's a good thing, but if it wasn't required by law, they wouldn't do it.
Well, because they're in it to make money.
No, I mean, they have to pay taxes to the city, and with the taxes, because it's the taxes for the people, then they do a station for the people to express themselves.
And it's good because it's more local,
Yeah,
I would think.
yeah, and it's streamed online. But I mean, if you are in Berkeley, you can still watch it at the same time it airs here.
And I can tell my friends,
Yeah,
my 3 friends. No.
yes, yes. You'll be on sometime next month at 6 p.m. on Saturday. But he can give you the exact day if you want. But to go back to you, when you went to France for 3 months, you said, did you learn a little bit of French?
I had to pick up some quickly.
Yeah, because you were in an American university.
The University of Paris 10.
10.
Yes.
Oh, I went to Paris 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So two different crowds there. Yeah, but you learn a little bit of law.
I learned French, French law.
Yeah.
And then the larger, body of law, the European.
Is it very similar to American?
In fundamental ways, it is not.
Oh, it's not.
And I find that striking. It's very interesting. Like here, the laws are more about precedent, like what the courts ruled before.
Okay.
And then in France, we heard the complaint over and over, we're looking at this with fresh eyes, every case with fresh eyes. And so it's so vibrant as a city and a culture. And I think that might be part of why the laws reflect that. Like you get to rule anew.
Yeah. The people has a huge input in France.
Yes.
Because in cafe, people don't gossip. They talk politics. Like when you go to a cafe in America and when you go to a cafe in Paris, are two different worlds. Cafes in Paris are students discussing the issues and of the day, and cafes in America, people talk about what the next star is doing or whatever. I mean, it's totally different focus.
Well, you have to remember the coffee culture was started in this country by and large in Berkeley.
Oh.
And it's only recent.
Yeah.
Pete's.
Pete's?
In the gourmet ghetto. Yeah. And Starbucks was born out of Pete's.
After?
An employee from Pete's went and started Starbucks.
I thought it was the opposite. I thought
Pete's
Starbucks started first.
Not at all.
Oh, really?
Pete's is first in the gourmet ghetto. And I have no affiliation with Pete's or Chez Panisse.
Wow.
But they're really close,
Yeah, they're very similar in their operations.
And so the politics took off at that time, I'm thinking, because there was so much going on socially. So instead of getting a coffee and rushing somewhere, people would sit there and just talk, talk shop, talk politics, and it became more like the European way.
Oh, yeah, because you were in a university town, but in San Francisco it's totally different. I know in a university town, people must talk about serious issues, right?
Yes. I can't wait to go there to talk about something really significant and get my coffee and chill, sit out, spend some time. And I don't know who's going to come in, what their opinion is.
They talk about the new elections and everything.
Exactly. And you find somebody who's got a different opinion than yours, and that's where the true change can happen, where you agree to disagree and there's a way to chop things up.
Oh, so that gave you some kind of formation toward your degree in some way. I mean, you learn how to relate to people and argue with them and win the argument, and then maybe become a better lawyer. Although you don't practice law anymore, but it does make you better, right? As a person who debates somebody else.
Yes, always looking at the other side before they even bring it up. Like, how do you craft your own opinion without, seeing what's already out there?
Right?
Like, there's not much new in this world.
The, is it possible that someone changes your mind on something?
Oh, that's a beautiful thing. I'm always open for that.
Yeah, because you might be set on a political party, and then somebody tells you, "Look, this is the other side of the story," and then it might change you.
Yeah, people don't believe that about Berkeley because it's something like 97% Democratic.
Yeah,
But I feel like, as an independent, that's what I am.
yeah.
I feel like people are open to reason. It's
Oh,
a beautiful place. It's almost like, Paris,
yes,
I think.
yeah. But when you say independent, but you lean toward the left because of Berkeley being mostly left, right?
I do lean toward the left in my ideology. I'm proud to say that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, because Bernie Sanders was here like a month ago. Did you go? I don't know if you went, but he has very leftist ideas, and that doesn't match at all what other states in the country want to see happening in the country.
Right, we can let the rest of the country catch up to us.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
how I
yeah.
feel.
Yeah, always Berkeley does something, and then the rest of the country is listening.
Oh, that's interesting.
I mean, a lot of things started in Berkeley, and then people say, "Oh, let's do that too." Things like that. I mean, a lot of students start a movement in Berkeley, and then it brings national attention to it, and then the rest of the country follows. I mean, the other universities follow. I mean, I don't know if you were in Berkeley at the time where there was a lot of protest and things like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. And it's come full circle sometimes. Like when you think of this current election cycle
Yeah,
that we're already in, people have designated, that they're going to run for candidates for for president.
yeah,
Like Kamala Harris, for example.
yeah.
Her parents, they were, well, what they call interracial, the couple,
Mhm, mhm.
and she was born in Oakland. Um, but they lived in Berkeley, where
Mhm.
her parents met
Yeah.
and attended college. But you couldn't have a baby in the hospital, in the maternity ward in Berkeley. It was racist. The policy
Really,
was
really.
racist.
So
Yeah,
they had
people
it at
don't hear this side of it.
they had at home. They had the
Well,
baby at
I was
home.
born at home. My parents were from the South, and my mom, she's Native American. She says, I'd rather have you at home than to
Put you in the hands of racist people.
yeah, I don't want to go to the hospital. We pay taxes here. We're a homeowner
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
And so she says, I'll just have her at home. And my father panicked, but I was born at home. But long and short of it is Herrick Hospital, which is formerly Alta Bates is formerly Herrick Hospital.
Yeah.
The maternity ward was segregated. And
Really?
if you were not white, you could not have a baby there. You'd
Wow.
have to go to Highland Hospital, which is the Alameda County Hospital. And that's where
Till
Kamala
what
Harris
year?
was
Till
born.
was she? Till
Yeah.
what year?
I'm not sure which year, but even the medical profession don't
Probably
know
till
this.
the
Is not.
60s.
Yeah,
Till
it's not
62.
common knowledge.
Till 62, probably.
Maybe
When
up to the early 70s because they closed it down rather than integrate it. They
Oh,
just stopped delivering babies.
oh,
Like they were adamant about not
oh.
integrating that hospital for some reason, that maternity ward. So
But
she says she's from Oakland, and that's correct. But she never grew up in Oakland.
okay,
She went right back to Berkeley. But they're not
okay.
talking about this in the political dialogue.
Oh, wow.
Because Berkeley has this reputation, and people don't, you
Yeah, but the
know.
civil rights movement was 1962. But anyway, a lot of people, like you said, in those days were born at home, including myself. But
Oh, you too.
yeah, but by choice. Even nowadays, some people make that choice, not because of any other reason, but just because they want to do it at home. So a lot of people get a midwife nowadays,
Yeah,
just for personal reasons.
yeah, and that's becoming big again.
Yeah, they want the natural way. They don't want to be pumped with uh, all kinds of injections that's going to put the baby to sleep for 3 days. Yeah, so
Yeah.
it's better to do it at home. So you got lucky you did it at home. I mean, you got lucky your mom did it at home.
Yeah, thanks, Mom.
Yeah, but anyway, to go back to music, so while you were studying, you studied also a little bit of music?
I feel like I'm a lifelong student of jazz.
Yeah.
And I listen to, European classical, I listen to world music, and as music director at KPFA for a bit, um, I've listened to everything and I had to, including
Yeah.
rock and roll. Yes. And so I'm always listening to new music, and that's really my study.
No.
Conversing with musicians, doing
So
the
you had like a
research.
minor in music?
I didn't study it in school per
Not at
se,
all. Okay.
only the Negro spirituals.
Yeah.
Like I can talk about the foundation of this country's popular music, rock and roll, blues.
But on your at the personal level, it was not at the university level. Yeah,
At
I
the
mean, you
university
didn't take
level.
a class.
Yes, I did take a few classes, but I was not working toward a music degree, unlike my first cousin, who is the music director for the UC Gospel Chorus.
Really?
Yeah, D. Mark Wilson. He's started the gospel chorus there as a class.
Wow.
And they're usually the foreign students who sign up first. It's so popular.
Yeah, ours is the Glide. All the tourists go see the Glide Ensemble, the Glide Orchestra every Sunday.
Yes.
It's a tourist attraction more than a religious attraction.
Kind
But
of like Notre Dame, maybe.
something like that. I mean, people go for the concert. They don't go to worship. I mean, it's all musical.
Yes.
But it's a tourist attraction. People go there because they know it's word of mouth, and they know it's something to see if you go to San Francisco. But music could be both.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about the music on the Christian faith, but it's part God. Thanks to the gospel and the spirituals, they become so popular with people who may have no faith. They might be agnostic, they might be atheists,
Yeah.
or whatever persuasion, whatever philosophy, they can relate to the music and appreciate the music, and they'll be the first in line to go to the concert at the churches.
Yeah,
So
that's good.
it's
I mean,
transcended the walls.
a lot of I mean, I forgot the name of that denomination, but a lot of churches have half of the service in music. A lot of it is just to uplift people. Yeah.
Yes, I've attended the Jewish temple before,
And they
just
sing
being
a lot.
curious.
Yeah.
Well, there's some singing, and I noticed there's a lot of standing up and reading. And I said, oh, they're people of the
Temple
book.
Emmanuel has a lot of music. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. So, but I do think the Christianity has the music that people just, thrive. They go out of their way to listen to, more so than I've never heard many people say, I'm going to the Buddhist temple to sing.
Oh no, no, no,
Not
no.
to sing.
It's the opposite. We want to be silent in
Yes.
the Buddhist temple. It's more
Exactly.
like getting inside of you, not outside.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a different philosophy.
It's
actually.
a different philosophy.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to go inside myself too long because I like to talk. I mean, I'm an extrovert, so everybody's born different. But I like to say what's on my mind, even if it's wrong. I mean, I don't repress what I want to say, But anyway. That's probably why I'm interviewing you today. So, you learned all these bands, and then you became a producer by chance.
Well, it's happens together. Like one of the first big bands I saw was in San Francisco. It was Count Basie, and I couldn't help but ask questions. Like I wanted to go meet Count Basie after the concert was over, or say Eartha Kitt. And so I'd ask questions, the burning questions that I have for the genre of music and for that particular artist. I'd ask the question and I got it right from the source. And so I've been building my repertoire, if you will, over time in that way, and listening to them in their different interviews.
So you were invited to do one show at KPFA and you stayed?
Somehow I went there during a strike,
Yeah.
And it was a strike to get rid of the status quo that
Okay.
people didn't really want there.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said, oh, this is a good time for me to go help because I can't have free speech in jeopardy in Berkeley. And so I went to volunteer, and they needed someone to do the board.
Wow.
And the general manager came in and said, can anybody do the board? It's an emergency. And I was like, he couldn't mean me. And then he was like, you come here, I'll show you. And
And
then
then
that's how it
fell on
started.
it fell on your lap.
Yes, and it started that way. It
It
was
fell on your lap.
Democracy Now. It was Amy
I
Goodman's
think
show.
it's fate. I never studied television. I mean, a little bit of broadcasting, but never. I studied radio broadcasting, but never thought I would be in TV. It fell on my lap because there was nobody to do a French American show. So I fill in the blank. I mean, I fill in with that there was nobody doing it, and that's how it started because they say, okay, there's nobody to do a French show, you do it. And I say, okay.
So whose idea was it to do the French show?
It was the Italian American producer, Roger Boschetti. He said, listen, there's all kinds of shows out there, the Russian and the Chinese and the Filipino show and the Italian show, but there's no French. Why don't you do it? I said, well, I don't know anything. And he said, no, do it. You don't need to go to school for that. And I did it.
That's interesting. Like
Yeah.
to see what's not out there.
And
And then, like, I think Henry Kaiser, who's big in the area,
Yeah.
Kaiser,
Yeah. he said, if
that's the
something is
quote.
not there, you can fill it.
Yes. I think Miles Davis and Shirley Horn, they speak about similar, the use of silence.
Oh.
Like, you can find something in silence, right? If you're just making noise and filling up space with sound, like, what do you find like that?
Oh, yeah, yeah. You do have in Berkeley also some musical churches, right? You do?
In Berkeley, I want to say there's music in most of the churches, but they might not be known for that. But one of the most famous songs that most people sing, "Oh Happy Day,"
Oh, yeah.
that was born in Berkeley. I want to say it was born at Ephesian Church on
And who
Alcatraz in
sings that?
Berkeley.
Which band?
That was the Edwin Hawkins Singers.
Oh, now I put you to the test and you passed. So you knew the answer to that one.
Okay.
So Oh Happy Days is by who again?
Edwin Hawkins Singers.
Interesting. And you like more jazz because there's all kinds of jazz, which you represent all of them because there's Latin jazz, there is also the blues, there's also Airbnb. What's it called? There's all kinds of jazz, right? Correct
Yeah.
me if I'm wrong. And you represent all types.
My shows are usually filled with jazz and blues,
Yeah.
and what they called
That's what I
straight
want to say.
ahead jazz.
Blues. Yeah, blues.
Uh-huh. Straight ahead jazz, which is continuously evolving out of the golden era from New York City. So happening after they got scat from Pops. When he left New Orleans and went to New York and he started scatting, it's like a realization that you could be an improviser on the spot and you don't have to be into some strict bag and box. And so I feel
A
like
lot
the
of
golden
improviser
age.
in those days.
Yes, so after he started scatting, then the golden age was born out of that.
Oh.
And Dexter Gordon, Herbie Hancock is a good example. And see how fresh and modern he is now. He dabbles in this and that and very well. But the foundation is there. So Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, the bebop movement.
Yeah, I know all those.
Yes. So that's what I play a lot of that.
Oh, okay, okay. In the Fillmore, there's a whole history at the Jazz Heritage Center. Although they reopened, by the way. I don't know if you went there in the past. The Jazz
yes.
Heritage Center. They represented all kinds of music there and all kinds of famous people. And for a while, every night they had a different band at Yoshi's until they closed it. But it was interesting. Every night they were able to find they were bringing bands from all over the country. It was very interesting. I don't know if you uh, got in touch with that era where they did that. But it was a revival of jazz in the Fillmore Center.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. And John Handy, who I play. But that area was like San Francisco's, mecca for jazz
right.
in the day,
Yeah,
back in the day. And so to see it revive to what the Fillmore Heritage Center did, and Yoshi's in particular, and Rosala's and the
yeah.
nearbys.
Rosala every night, a new
Yes.
band. Yeah,
So I was able to really shape a lot of my shows and get good guests like Pharoah Sanders, who wouldn't normally do interviews, but he would be appearing, and then the venue would call him up and say, "Please, do the interview." And I felt like I was a part of something really bigger than myself, something special, and I got to interview, Pharoah
yeah. It's too
Sanders.
bad Rosala sold it. And we used to have like jazz nightly, and since he sold it, it's gone basically. And he opened just a tiny restaurant around the corner, and that's it. But maybe because it was too much stress to have to produce a different band every night, I don't know.
Yeah, jazz is I don't know, such a small percentage of
Yeah,
the music going and buying and consuming population in this country, but it's so popular abroad.
yeah.
Like I saw it firsthand how popular jazz is, just
Oh yeah,
in
yeah.
France.
I invited the lady just like you. She did jazz in Paris, and she promoted jazz in all the clubs. And yeah, she I don't know if she still does it, but she did the show called Jazz in Paris. I don't know. Look her up online. She might still be around.
That's interesting. Then the cultivation of arts in Paris is really admirable, and I wish that we could do more in this country. But I thank you for inviting me on to talk about jazz.
Oh yeah, yeah. You can. I mean, if she stopped doing that jazz in Paris, because her website would tell people where to go to listen to jazz when they visit Paris, and and if she still does it, good. But if she doesn't, you can take over that and investigate where there's jazz playing in Paris, so people would know when they go as tourists in Paris, they can know where to go.
Oh, that's interesting. I could do that.
Yeah, I mean, if you, it might take a little bit of research, but if you have an interest in jazz, you should be able to take over from where she started. Uh, I forgot her name. I apologize. I don't have a very good memory with names. But if I'll look her up after the interview.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah, it's a really good time for jazz.
yeah, and it's I was raised also with a cousin who loved to play jazz, so I was exposed to jazz since I was like 12, and he was very good. He was a guitarist. So do you play an instrument yourself?
I want to say I can play one boogie woogie on the piano, and
Mm-hmm.
that's it. I'm not a musician.
Oh, okay, so you just play it.
I mean, just by ear, I can just bang out on the black keys. But my grandmother was gospel. She played gospel, and then my father sang jazz beautifully. So I grew up with the appreciation for it and the ear for it. But I never got involved with an instrument on an intimate level at all. I feel like my gift is to
More the
listen.
listening.
Mm-hmm. Not just to
So
listen.
you like the blues the best?
I think the best I would say is I like you know, I like spirituals. I really do like spirituals, but I say jazz is my favorite. And then in all the different subgenres that encompasses, but I don't like uh, abstract so much, avant-garde, because I don't understand it.
Mm-hmm.
So the other ones I love, big bands,
Mm-hmm.
straight ahead, duos, trios, quartets, straight ahead, um, yeah, Latin, just swing, bop, bebop is probably my favorite.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now it came back to me. It's the Baptist churches that do like 50% music.
You
The
know,
Baptist church. All
you
they do is get up and sing with the choir. because they want to be happy on Sunday and they sing.
It's a tradition, and it's like you don't have a church without the music. Like you can't have a new member join without the music, because right after a certain song, then the preacher will say, "All right, we're
We're gonna
opening the
sing.
doors now. If you want to be a church, join our church. You want to be a new member here,
Sing with us.
welcome." Uh, Part of joining is singing. Like
Oh,
it never stops. But if you don't have music there, you're not going to get a new member.
really?
It's that serious. And so it's some people want to separate. There's music over here, there's the word over here, there's the spiritual over here.
And the
For
preaching, yeah.
Yes, for the Baptist church, and I'll
It's
say
all
this because
together.
my
It's all
grandmother's
together.
from Mississippi. She played in those little tiny churches. So it's all together. But the music, you're in charge if you do the music.
Mm.
You're in charge. If you know those old spiritual songs, and if you play the piano like she did, she's in charge. If she has some issue with the preacher and she doesn't play, he better get it together.
Oh,
And if you want to exclude gay people out of the
it
church,
doesn't work.
how are you going to have a choir?
Because they
You
are in
won't
the
have the
choir.
music. They own the music. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah.
spend the time, they cultivate it, they care about it the most. They've been discriminated against the most, so it comes out in the music. So they're the best when it comes to the Black Baptist Church and the choirs. So if you want to discriminate against them, you won't have a church.
Oh, okay. So yeah, that's true. That's true. The church I really attended, without mentioning their name, they just sing an hymn in the beginning, and an hymn in the middle, and an hymn at the end. But the most of it, 90%, is talk. I mean, most churches are like that. But the Baptist is like over 50%. The band, the whole congregation is singing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a participatory culture, and I think that Negroes spirituals carried that tradition.
To include everybody in the music.
It's called, yes, it's called, you got it. It's called lift every voice and sing. Not lift some voices, like people who can speak and sing a
Oh,
Gregorian
yeah,
chant. You have
yeah.
to know Latin. You have to be specially trained. No, lift every voice. And then look how easy it is. I'll say this, da 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 da. That's the pentatonic scale. I love the Lord, he heard my cry.
Yeah.
It's up and then down. And
Yeah.
so the
People
leader
pick.
says that, and then the whole congregation follows. That's
Okay.
called call and response. I know, I'm sure you know this, but the call and response is what all this music is based
Oh,
on,
okay. They
that West
repeat after.
African
They repeat after.
musical method.
Also, in some churches, only those who have beautiful voices perform, or those who know how to play very good in instrument perform. Yeah. So, but the Baptists all inclusive.
Yeah, you won't judge someone's voice. Like it's like everybody's welcome at the table.
Right. Exactly. That's what I meant. It's not like, oh, you sing terrible. You better shut up.
There's
No.
no such thing, because it's so valued in the culture that everybody lifts their voice. You don't even stop to think, am I a good dancer? Am I a good singer? Nobody's going to stop and think that. It's like, you're
You,
not singing. What's wrong with you?
oh,
And they're
okay.
like, oh, you better sing if you're going through something. That's really the time to sing.
Yeah. Everybody sing and everybody dance.
And nobody's judging.
Yeah. Yes.
Nobody's hating.
Yeah. That's good. That's good. It's unifying.
If somebody says they're not the best at singing or dancing, that's on them.
Yeah.
And
But
so,
everybody's invited to sing.
yeah.
So that's good. That's good. It makes everybody uplifted. I mean, it makes everybody happy because it's usually happy songs, right?
Yeah, I feel like we lose that after kindergarten in
Yeah.
this country. Like kindergartners get it, and younger than that. Like you say sing, you teach them a song, and they're singing from their hearts.
Okay.
Like nobody, they don't understand. They have to be told, "Oh, you don't sing as good as that person."
No, then
Or
it's a learned thing.
exactly. So if we can get back to that, and maybe we'd be better as a country.
Yeah, yeah. The inclusiveness. That's a very good trait of some churches to include everybody. Yeah. So now your show is 1 hour.
Usually it's a 2 hour program.
Oh, that's a lot of work for you.
And that's okay because when I first started, I would do a 5 hour overnight shift
Okay.
and I would play jazz for 5 straight hours. So
Oh,
I could really learn and listen and put songs together and hours together. And
5 hours. So that's a job then. It's no longer a hobby, right? I mean, if you do it for 5 hours, you are it become a DJ. You become a DJ, a paid DJ, right?
well, the thing is that I don't really feel like a check validates what I do
Oh, okay.
for teaching. Uh, because you can't put a price on, teaching kindergarten, like teach
Yeah.
what teachers do at the elementary level. Um,
It's very precious. Yeah.
yeah, it's a calling,
Mm-hmm.
and so if it was about money, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
And then for the jazz radio, I feel like if I get a paycheck behind it, then some of the joy is gone.
Oh, okay.
And then it's a job, and I'm listening to numbers and sponsors and things like
You
that,
worry
and
about these
management.
things. You worry about these things.
Yeah, so I have a few rules I have to follow, especially with the FCC.
Oh, yeah. When you cut for commercial, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. To that, and then not more than 3 tracks from one CD in a row.
Oh, okay. So there are rules.
hmm
Okay.
And so outside of the few rules, then it's just a joy.
Yeah.
It's all joy.
So you can still, if you do, even if you do 5 hours in one night, you still have 8 hours you can work if you want to.
Yeah. So being back to saying there's no raison d'etre for me,
Yeah.
I feel like it all comes together.
Yeah.
So I don't have passion for jazz over here, and then I have teaching over there, and enjoying the children, and I don't have things segregated like that. It's like somehow they all come together, and they're
Okay.
just aspects of my life.
Oh, good, good. So what age do you teach?
They're special ed right now, so my students range from kindergarten to second grade right now.
That's a nice age.
Yeah, and Palo Alto is interesting.
Oh,
It's an interesting place where people really care about education, and they put their children in a lot of enrichment classes, and they travel a lot, and it is a rich school district compared to the rest of the
it's a
state.
private school you work for?
It's Palo Alto Unified. It's
Oh,
the
it's
public
unified. It's
school.
a public school. Okay.
hmm
So that's good.
Yes.
How many hours they require you to spend with these kids?
I'm there for 6 hours a day.
Wow. It's
6.
still full time then.
Yes. And it doesn't feel like a job.
Oh, you
You
love
know.
the presence of children.
Yes.
Oh, that's
Very
good.
much so.
And you love also kids, so you got it both. You got it them both good.
Yes.
So life is enjoyable for you at work or off work.
Yes, I'm living my best life. I wish I had a friend though. I wish I had a date to
Oh,
enjoy life with sometimes, but
oh, you got to give it time too.
yeah, I don't have much time to invest in something like that, but I don't.
People always push it off for later.
Oh, they do. I guess
No,
so.
no,
You've
unless
heard
they
that
take
before.
themselves too seriously, then
Oh.
they do focus on it. But if you don't make yourself focusing on it, then it's something that's not important and you push it off for later. Something
Oh,
like that, right?
I would think, yes, I would agree with you.
Yeah. So, but at a certain age, it's very important, and after a certain age, it's not important. You agree?
I agree.
Yeah. 21, then it's important, and then after a few years later, then yeah, if it happens, it happened. If it doesn't happen, what can you do? Yeah. So that's the way people operate.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a pleasure to interview you. Maybe you can talk, since you know so much about that topic, you spent 20 years doing it. Tell us what were the most exciting moment. Did you have sometime a guest that was exciting, or a band that you wanted to meet and you met them? What are the most memorable moments?
I think one of the most memorable moments is probably my number one is I was in Napa Valley
Mm-hmm.
at they have a jazz festival over there every year, and
Mm-hmm.
I went with a friend of mine who is a musician, and she was also a teacher, and she took me there. We enjoyed the show. It was Abby Lincoln, and she joined the this family. They had this beautiful French chateau style home, and it's in the wine country, and vineyards in the backyard and everything. And so just a select group of people, and she was just walking around sipping her wine. Abby Lincoln right there. And so I said, "Wow, is that Abby Lincoln?" "Yes, it is." And so she says, "Come on, I'll introduce you to her." So she introduces me to none other than Abby Lincoln. And I says, I would really like to interview you at KPFA in Berkeley.
And she said yes.
And she said, "Sure." And I said, "Okay, so what do I do? Do I get your producer's phone number, your record label?"
She said,
And
no, I'll
she
just come
said,
in.
"Pull your take my number down." And so I took her number down, and I went to shake her hand, and she pushed my hand out the way and just grabbed me and hugged me
Oh, very
really hard.
nice. Very
Yeah.
good. Very good.
So,
So she was your guest.
and she ended up being my guest, and that was one of my most popular interviews. Like, you can find it on the women's magazine
And you can, it's
at
recorded.
KPFA. Yes, it's there. It's they keep it up there.
Yeah, it's archives now.
Yes, it's called Women's Magazine, kpfa.org, and Abby Lincoln, and
Okay.
you'll find her extended interview on there.
Wow. You have many opportunities also at the Fillmore Jazz Festival. It's 3 days, right? The first week of July. Do you go interview bands there?
Yes, one of my favorites who appears there, it seems like every year, and rightfully so, Kim Nally.
Mm-hmm.
Outside there's so much energy. There's all the booths, and
Yeah, yeah.
just
It's
everybody's
three full
enjoying.
days. Yeah.
Yeah, Kim Nally, she's been my guest before, and now that she started a family, I haven't seen her lately, but Tammy Hall
So
is
you
one of my
bring a tape
favorites.
recorder with you? I mean, a recorder with you when you go on the field?
I have not done that in a
Okay.
long time, but I prefer to have my guests come in person or call in.
Okay. But now they have a recorder on your iPhone, so you can just record the interview.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
It could be, yeah, that's what I do. I record on my iPhone. But I mean, a lot of technology has changed. But if you want, of course, if to be in a regular studio, it could be in a regular studio if they have time to stop by, right? They have to go all the way to Berkeley to meet with you at a certain time.
Well, yeah, we can record it, or they can come during one of the shows, because I'm a fill-in now, and it's Saturday afternoons.
Oh, really?
Usually,
Every Saturday?
yes. Not every Saturday. It usually happens that I do a show a couple of times a month,
Yeah,
and
me
I
too.
like
I
it.
do every other Saturday.
Oh, I like not being tied down.
To every Saturday, yeah.
Exactly. I don't have the raison d'etre that tells me, you have to do this or else you
Oh,
won't
no,
feel
no, you have
relevant.
freedom. You have freedom, right? I
Yeah, I
mean,
have so many interests.
yeah, so because you like the topic, then you like to look for the next guest. Is basically what happens.
Yeah, I like to ask people, like, what have you listened to lately and
Okay.
heard any good music lately?
And they tell you,
And they'll tell me, or I've only heard crap lately.
really?
The same crap that gets recycled over and over. It just sounds a little different, but it's overproduced stuff.
Oh, but as a producer, do you go a lot of nightclubs that play jazz? Because we have a lot of jazz club here.
I do. I love going to all of them. It's SF Jazz Center, Stanford Jazz.
Fisherman's Wharf, there's plenty of them.
Exactly, the smaller places. Jeffries in Oakland.
Yeah. Yeah. And then jazz festivals for a long time. I mean,
Oh yes.
like
Oh
uh,
yes.
they do it in different places too. In San Francisco, like for a month, different producers produce in different clubs. Yeah, so there's plenty to on your hands that you can go and interview, right?
Yeah.
Or invite.
Yeah, we're like the third media market for jazz.
Yeah.
Like New York is one, maybe
Mhm.
LA is two.
So you have plenty of choice It's not that you say, "Oh my God, there are no more people to invite." There's always someone new. To,
Yes, and then I like about 10% of what's out there
yeah,
because, I have a sensitive ear and I don't care what they look like. I don't care what their background is. I'm
as long as
listening
they're good.
with fresh ears, yes. And so usually when I listen, I don't even want to see what the package looks like. If it's a new artist, I just want to hear that pure sound and see where it takes me. And that's how I add to my playlist.
And then you play their music, and then if they're available, you call them and see if they are in the area and invite them. Because they might be producing in LA, like you said. So you say, oh, next time you are in Berkeley, come visit me.
That's what I'm going through right now. With a brand new artist. Well, he's not that brand new, but Kamasi Washington. He's pretty
Mm-hmm.
popular, but I tried to get him the last time he was here at the Mountain View Winery, and I couldn't get him, even though he agreed to do it, and I went through the proper channels. But he's just busy and sought after, and maybe not too interested in doing interviews with somebody named Gabrielle that he's never heard of. And they're not in it to make money usually, otherwise, they wouldn't be in jazz to begin with. So I'll just keep trying, and I feel like that. I'll just keep trying. Herbie Hancock is one I've wanted, and I'll just have to keep trying with him.
Oh, okay.
But Ron Carter was my guest.
Oh, okay. Okay. So he came all the way here.
He called from New York. He lives in New York, and
Oh, he just the voice interview.
yes, and it was Ron Carter. So yeah.
So that's good. That's good. So you keep all these important celebrities on file for people if they want to pull it from the internet and listen to the interview.
I've been really secretive about that. I've been using a cloud service for a long time
Yeah.
before it became popular, and I have everything saved at KPFA, and I have things saved personally, but I don't have it out for
In the
anybody to
public.
just go listen to. So
Oh,
I will probably need somebody who's a librarian type who likes to
document.
archive, to a documentarian to work with me and maybe put out some great excerpts.
Yes, that would be good. That would be a
Yeah.
good project for you. I know it takes
Yeah.
time. I know it takes time.
Yes, but there are some words of wisdom from some really, brilliant people.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to digitize my archives, but it's so time consuming. I mean, you gotta first get your mind to it, and then you have to do it, and then sometime I say, oh, I'm gonna do once a week, but sometime it's like because you gotta go in the past, and then it takes energy from you to stream something that happened a long time ago because you gotta go back in time, and it's more energy than the mind can imagine. It's not just a technical issue. It's also kind of going back in time, and that takes a lot of effort on the person to digitize the history. It really does. It's not just oh let's just put it through the machine, and it's you gotta put yourself into it and do it.
I
It's
bet a lot of people would like to hear that from you, but maybe if you are not in a space where you really want to make that type of commitment to your
mm-hmm.
archiving, you might want to take on a partner or the production team and guide them because some people are wired for intricate detail
Oh
in
really?
on in that manner, and that's an art to them.
Oh
So, like, you
yes.
tell them to straighten something out, put something in order, and they're like, "When do I start?"
Oh,
So
they
the
like editing. They like
Netflix nerdies and techies and so forth.
That's true. That's true. Some people are into editing and some people are into producing. It's two
Yes, I
different.
have an editor that I work with, and she's so good at it. She loves it.
She likes to dissect things and
Yes, and I'm like, "Ooh, I'll see you later. Do you need me? No? Okay, I'll go. I'll come back. Good."
yes, I don't know why would anybody like editing. It's just beyond my. I don't like
I
editing.
have a respect for people who have that gift.
Mindset. Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, because they see things that normal people don't see.
Mm.
And they get excited when they see it. Like, oh, they said that already. We can cut that out.
Oh, okay.
Things like that. They catch these minute things, and you're like, how did you see that? Well, that's what I do.
So you remember Ray Taliaferro?
Of course.
So he used to once a week play music, and he would also include some excerpts or a couple interviews, but he would put like little pieces and put them together. I know he's gone now, but he used to have he used to play piano himself, and he used to love to document the jazz festival. He would go to um,
Monterey.
exactly,
Mm-hmm.
and he would document that. He would tell, "Oh, we are in Monterey, and uh, we," and he would go see different performers and stuff. Too bad he's gone. Somebody should take over, maybe.
I know, and that was like for like 20, 30 years. He did
Yes,
the Monterey Blues Festival.
yes. Every year he would go and document it. Yeah,
Yeah. He played at Third Baptist Church, I think. He played
he plays the piano. Yeah.
but he was not a Christian. He was
No,
not.
he
No.
just loved the
Mhm.
music.
Mhm.
Oh,
And
okay.
so it just shows that, music breaks down a lot of barriers. A
Oh,
lot of artificial barriers, especially. So it could bring a lot of people together, and he was a treasure. And there's a need for what he did. I know it was unique what he did, but we really need some more jazz
it
in
was
Monterey.
25 years on the air, or yeah, and then he moved back home. Was it where Mississippi or something? That's where he died at the end of his life.
Oh,
I mean, he didn't die in California, but anyway, he is still in the memory of a lot of people.
I would think.
Yeah, he
Yeah, I
was a
miss
very
him.
powerful voice, wasn't
Yes,
he?
he was, and he told one story that reminds me of him in how great he was. It was Shirley Horn who had a
Oh yeah.
yes, she had a CD out called "Here's to Life," and she called him up. She said, "I just want to thank you for playing my music," and I won the Grammy, and I'm pretty sure it was because you helped you played it for me. So
That's nice of
thank you.
him. Yeah, because his show went worldwide after a while. I mean, because it was
Yes.
streamed and it was syndicated all over. So he was becoming famous in Australia, in England, everywhere. Yours is streamed also, right?
Yes, I get calls sometimes. Like I would get a call from Finland or Greenland, and I'd be like, "Wow, it's the World Wide Web."
Yes, your show is on at what time?
Well, I fill in. I usually sit in for um, Point of Departure, Horace Mansfield's show, which
At
comes on
night?
Saturday afternoons
Oh,
from
afternoon.
2 to 4 p.m.,
Hmm.
and Art Sato's show, which follows that, 4 to 6 p.m. Sometimes I do them back to back, so that's a 4 hour shift. And then Greg Bridges, who has shows on KCSM and at KPFA, his KPFA show, I sit in Monday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. And then sometimes the late show on Saturday nights from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., but I don't take that one as much. That really late one, yeah.
So how'd you come on the air? You say, "Hi, this is Gabrielle Wilson with your jazz show," or something like that?
Yeah, you're good at that.
Is that the way you open up?
Yeah. I start off, with the station ID,
Mm-hmm.
and
KPFA?
yeah, I announce the show, and the time, maybe that the time or yeah, by law, the FCC requires the time at every hour.
Yeah.
So I do that, and I just get right in there, and I usually involve Art Blakey at the beginning. I like starting off my shows with drums. So Art Blakey is the best.
Yeah, I remember he would say, people were required to say the time when the radio show. I remember that very good, very well, because they would say the time and say, "What do they say the time for?" So it's a requirement.
Yes, it's a requirement, and I'm not sure why they made that a requirement,
Okay.
but maybe it has
So
to do with.
people in another time zone would not understand, though. I mean,
Oh, exactly. You're
yeah,
right.
it's 5 a.m. here, and it is 2
You're
p.m.
right.
in Europe.
You're right. That's where French law
Yeah.
is different from here, and that's where it's sometimes our traditions don't make sense going forward.
Hmm.
Like now with people listening and
Worldwide.
worldwide, it's irrelevant for many of your listeners.
Right. Yeah, because when my show is streamed on the internet, I don't know what time people are going to watch it in France. I mean, it's could be 9 hours ahead, of course. Yeah. So we don't know.
So do you miss France?
Oh yeah, yeah, of course. Especially, I wish I was there today because today, because the cathedral burned, everybody gathered and did the service outside the cathedral.
Wow.
Yeah, and like they, the I'm not Catholic, but they carry the cross at the Catholic Church on Easter, and they did that it open to the public, not inside the cathedral. So that must have been quite an event, the first service outside. Yeah,
Yeah, that sounds powerful.
yeah, because they have a huge plaza in front of Notre Dame,
Mm-hmm.
so the whole plaza was full. The plaza is larger than the cathedral. So anyway, if you see the New York Times, you'll see it. Today I saw the picture. But it was impressive that they did the service like 2,000 years ago outside. So it was like
Wow.
going back in time to 2019 years when, the birth of Christ was 2019 years ago. So anyway, yeah, so they went back in time kind of thing this year.
So that means it's more than a building. It's about their faith and their
Yeah.
commitment.
But what was interesting is that they brought more people because it was bigger area.
Uh-huh.
It was more people than inside the church itself.
And that makes sense. So it's like it's transcended the walls, like people who wouldn't normally think to
Go,
come or care to come
just stop
came,
by. Yeah.
and it's more of them, so they don't all fit, but get in where you fit in outside.
Yeah.
And you're
So,
bonded.
yeah, yeah, and they came from all over. So,
Wow.
so it was very impressive. To see a service outside. I mean, uh, we don't do that nowadays. You would never go to Golden Gate Park and there is a Catholic service, right? Everybody goes
Right.
to a inside church, right? So it was done like in the old ages outside. It's quite a shift, you know. You don't have to be surrounded by statues and art or whatever. You just outdoor.
Which is probably how it started
Yeah.
before the buildings.
Yes. Before they
Yeah.
started building buildings, it was outside.
Like the
Yeah.
Sermon on the Mount.
Yeah. Yeah. Like if you see paintings of Jesus Christ, he's always outside in the forest or outside. There was no building.
Yeah, with the people.
Yeah, only after he died they decided to do a building in his name, but he never asked for it, right? I
Right.
mean, it's strange that it's Easter today. I mean, it's a weekend of Easter, and it's in the news now. But it's really something that we never thought it would happen in 2019. Yeah,
Yeah, who would have thought that that would happen like that?
yeah,
That it's like making something good come of something, out of crisis, something good can come.
yeah. That's good. Yeah, you got people. Most only 4% of the French people go to church. Yeah.
I saw that when I was there because I went. I went to the Catholic church near where I was staying, and
Not
every
too many
time I
people.
went, it was very empty,
Yeah.
and they were like thanking me for coming, and
No,
but
yeah, and today was different.
it was like in this country,
Yeah,
like church membership, they're down all around.
Yeah.
Attendance, they're really down.
very.
So,
It's empty, and only on Easter, of course. But um, in America, guess how many go?
um, I would say by denomination,
No, no. In general, how many
Oh.
people go to church? What percentage?
I would say less. I'd say 25%.
It's 40%.
Oh, 40%. I guess I'm.
No, but I want to show you how much more people in America go than in France. France, they don't care.
Yeah, I
It's,
saw that. I saw a few people there when I went, and I thought, wow, this big building with
Yeah.
all this history.
Why wouldn't people go?
why? I mean, why is it still here?
yeah.
Like it's evolving, and the change is not being made along with the evolving.
The involvement of the society. And so when people go visit Notre Dame, it's mostly for the art, not for the religion part.
I felt like that way about the Vatican.
Yeah,
Like
people
there's
go
so much art there, and are you there to worship or are you there to see the art? I was there to,
visit the
to
art.
see it. Yeah, it's as the architecture, the sacred space, of course, the art, and I just feel like we could solve 2/3 of the world's hunger or all of its hunger if we sold some of that art.
Oh yeah, yeah. Actually, today the people of Paris went on the street, and they say you raised $1 billion for a building, and we have all these needs. Why don't you raise money for us? I mean, that's what the protest was about today.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah,
That makes sense. That makes total sense to me. And the way Haiti was treated
yeah.
by France.
And Flint also need money, and all these people need money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And here they're raising in 1 week $1 billion for one building. It's incredible.
It's something about symbolism that people really care about. The symbolism.
Yeah.
Like we don't feel hope if we don't have the Notre Dame. We
Mm.
don't have the hope that we have when we see that, and it's always there. But if it's gone, then we feel like a part of us is gone, and we feel defeated or something.
Yeah, it was built 835 years ago, so it's very important to some people to have it preserved. Yeah. So, but anyway, to show that people give a lot of importance to art and to history more than to common problems out there.
Yeah, just to care about people, then things. That's
That's
what's the
supposed to
natural
be,
order of things.
but
Yeah.
it's the opposite nowadays.
Yeah, and then that's part of the reason why. Because once you start building something opulent or you have something fabulous, you can get confused pretty easily. You
Oh,
can,
what's important?
yeah, you can get confused. So I try to live a minimalist life. Like I found my real passions, and that's what I pursue. And money comes. If it doesn't come, okay, I'm enjoying my.
Day to day.
Yes, and so um, I don't need to buy something in order to feel
Good.
whole and good, and relevant.
Talking about art, I wanted to maybe switch to talk about your daughter. So
Okay.
I'm going to end this interview with you, which is because it's an hour and 2 minutes, and
Okay.
we're going to talk a little bit about your daughter because
Okay.
she's not here, but you brought her out, right?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me.